Anton's not here, but everybody else is. Open forum. We'll open it for anybody who has anything to say. I assume that you guys are going to talk in your assigned agenda items. So with that said, we're closing the open forum because nobody else is here. And then we're moving on to the consent agenda. So we've got the typical 3 things on the consent agenda. Unless you want to discuss one, I will entertain a motion to approve that.
In the minutes, even though the mayor would like to be in 2 places at one time, he wasn't.
Explain.
It says Mayor Aerosmith who invited the public to speak.
Oh, I see, okay. Probably a standard.
Oh, I wasn't.
I mean, I think the mayor would like to be in 2 places at one time.
Did you want us to add that statement to the minutes?
Yeah. Well, only if...
As much as he wanted to be there, Councilor Kennedy. Acting Mayor Kennedy, Deputy Mayor Kennedy.
We'll call him Vice Mayor because that's better. That's more fun.
I like
Acting
that. I
is
like
more
that.
accurate.
The vice mayor.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to give that up. Anyway, anything else? Any other changes or anything to modify with the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as modified.
As amended.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving right along, liquor store update. Chris, you're up. And I have to say that, so we've got a report from these guys in our packets on the first 3 Sundays of July Sunday sales.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting, that information for the first 3 Sundays. And I'm interested in how that compares to like a regular, like how does that compare to a Monday or you know, or something?
It's less,
Yeah,
but we're open longer.
on Monday.
Yeah, than
A
Sunday.
short day on
Yeah.
Sunday.
We're open from 9 to 10, so 5 hours.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's almost $1,000 an hour in sales, so that's pretty.
So what's your average otherwise?
It actually is probably a little less than that.
Okay.
Yeah. And the 4th Sunday was about the same.
About the same?
4,800. Yeah.
Okay. So here's another question. So I saw that we had the reports about the actual profits off of the stuff, and so we're of the $4,000 to $6,000 we're selling, we're making somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 14, per Sunday.
What's the percentage in other words?
30.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
just-
it's right around 32%.
Yeah, but
That's what
that's normal. Like that's
Yep.
no matter what.
That wouldn't
But
matter.
but the staffing, I'm assuming because it's only 5 hours, that's still like the costs that are associated with keeping the store open for those 5 hours are not going to take a ton out of that
No.
that profit.
No,
so
not at all.
It still looks like we're making a fair profit
Yeah,
on Sundays.
for now, we're doing pretty well, I think.
Okay. I might have jumped the gun. You can.
We'll see what the fall brings and, less busy times a year, but
Mm-hmm.
right now it's well worth it. I've talked to my salesman said the Duluth liquor stores, which weren't open the first
We had to have
weekend
a lot
or
of
the
change.
second. Did you hear about that?
No.
They forgot to undo their ordinance for Sunday sales.
Oh.
So they had to wait an additional 2 weeks to be open.
And they came to Grand Marais.
They may have.
Oh man! So now our numbers.
But I talked to the guy at the Silver Bay Muni and Two Harbors and Beaver Bay, and they all had a fantastic first Sunday. And
Yeah, and the first one timed out with 4th of July, didn't it?
and Canada Day,
July 2nd.
which is also a really big day.
So do you have any way of tracking Canadian customers that come through?
Besides the A's and the...
just a sense of what that traffic might be?
I would guess we're probably still
Glad we got that in
at
there.
35 to 45% Canadian business
Wow.
That was
throughout
amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Because that's obviously dollars that would be lost. I mean, if they keep on going and go back to Canada and
Right.
don't spend their money.
I think we'll see a big benefit from them on Sundays. They have a lot of Mondays off, and they tend to travel on Sundays.
Yeah.
So
Seen anything in terms of how that's affected say like Saturday or Monday sales?
Yeah.
Has it been any downturn
The
in that?
diffusion of other days.
I think it's too soon to tell, and I think it's kind of the wrong time of year to really tell,
Well, of course,
because every
everything-
day is busy
Every day is busy.
right now. But just looking at what we were doing on Saturdays and what we were doing on Mondays, it maybe has affected them a slight bit, but not a bunch yet.
I
Well,
don't
that's
really.
good. I mean, this is good. I mean, I think, with the fact that we're capturing a market that, would have been there and has been lost for all these years, I know when I saw you that one day, and you say Dave was getting all the glory in the rec park for all their increases down there, and I said, well, come and talk to us about your increases. And I said, we'd love to hear that kind of good news too.
Well, come budget time, I think we'll maybe go a little more in depth on how Chris has been doing and how much money we're making there, and how it's going to be really difficult to do any analysis about the effect on Sundays because
Yeah.
it just goes up and up. So
Yeah, well,
Oh, it's-
once you get a season in there, I think you can kind of see what's happening a little bit more. The 3 weeks in July are no barometer
Right.
for anything.
Totally.
That's.
Yeah.
But if you take, July through September, then you can probably see if it's affecting Saturdays or Mondays or any other parts of the week. I thought another interesting thing, if you looked on that little report, it kind of showed what time of day the sales were.
Yeah. They were like almost all of them were like. Well, I mean, the biggest chunk of them were
The last
the
hour.
last hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people are looking at their clock, being like, "Oh God, I've got an hour to get to the liquor store."
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Every single weekend, it was the same way.
Mhm.
I thought that was really interesting too.
Yeah, it's crazy. The last hour and probably the first half hour are the two busiest
Huh.
times of that day.
And you're open noon to 6?
Noon to 5 is what we picked to
Okay.
do. And looking by that, going by that and those few stats that we have in numbers, I don't think we need to be open any longer than that. So we stay open an hour later, all that business just shifts back an hour from 4 to 5 to 5 to 6 instead of, it's just kind of the trend to come in at the last.
So is that Canadians heading home then, do you think, a lot of that, later in the day?
I think a lot more of the early people are Canadians than the late people. It's just a lot of people getting a little something for a nice Sunday night. It kind of seems like what it is.
I mean, with our age population and the fact that people are on vacation, Sunday isn't Sunday anymore. It's
Right.
just another day of the week for which they can be having a fun picnic or doing something.
Or drinking.
And well, yeah, so,
That's
I
included
mean,
in all those.
yeah, so when you think about that part of it, it makes sense that they'd be planning just another nice, fun summer evening. I just think people got way carried over about, like, somehow this is gonna wash out against the other days, I don't think that'll be an impact. I think it's going to be a straight increase, an opportunity.
We live in a unique place with a
Right.
unique economy too, where some other. But it sounds like even in Minneapolis, Sunday sales aren't all that great. But people, I'm sure Brainerd or some of those other big tourist areas are experiencing the same success that we are, as opposed to other. They're not seeing much at all yet. The first Sunday was huge everywhere, and that was, I think, was just for posterity's
novelty
sake.
of it all,
Yeah,
yeah.
to get to go do it for the first time ever.
Yeah, I heard a lot of positive comments actually out of the cities, and like one guy said, "Look, my coolers are running either way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I haven't really increased a lot of costs other than I put some staff in, and when you think about all your costs to put that liquor on the shelf, that isn't that big of a difference.
Well,
So you
one
might as
thing
well let
that's-
someone into."
That, after the season, Mike and I talked a little bit, we'll have to revisit maybe some staffing issues with some different things.
Right.
The fact that everyone, or the majority, all but one person is part-time means that everybody else has other jobs,
Right.
and because it's not an issue of them getting too many hours and breaking that, the idea behind, 30 hours a week is what 60 total. It's piecing them in when they can work because they have other jobs.
So how's the ordering gone? You know, I mean, you're able to keep up with that? Obviously, you're getting hit hard Saturday, Sunday, and you're not getting deliveries, you know.
You know, there's going to be a learning curve with that,
Mhm.
and it's, you know, that what people are buying and consuming has changed a lot. You know, it's a six-pack market now. It's not big cases of beer, and it's 4 craft things or 6 craft things. So that makes it a little tough.
Now, does your current software have suggested sales for you? Can you run good reports to see what's really moving and at what amounts?
Oh,
The
for-
problem is it changes from week to week. Is the biggest. You know, one week it's Castle Danger, the next week it's Bent Paddle, the next week it's Voyager, the next week.
access to that information. You know, to
Well,
the
I'm
information.
I
of
kind of
sale
already
reports
know
and
that
things
because
like
I know
that.
the software, but I'm asking.
Yeah,
you
you know,
Well, you're just
checking all
dangling
that.
carrots then.
No, I'm asking because I can, and I'm assuming you can too. I can
Yes,
see that.
it's
I can
great.
see
You know, I can
patterns.
see I can see the trends. I can see. Well, I usually look at what we've gone through in the last 10 days, and if we have that much or less, I order, and if we have, you know, more than that on hand than we've sold, and that's a pretty safe bet that we're going to make it through the week with.
Well, and storage is probably a more than.
Storage is a big issue.
You know.
I don't know if any of you have noticed all the boxes I have in the back hallway where the old jail was. But we've got to do more bulk buying than we have been.
Well, for beer, too,
It's
I
just a
assume.
beer, wine,
Yeah.
everything. That's the way to. It's the way to do it. You know, when you're buying 4 cases of wine and you're getting a case free, or you're buying 100 cases of beer versus 50 cases of beer, and you're getting $2 off a case instead of 50 cents a case, or, you know, things like that. That definitely benefits us a lot more to
Right.
to be able to do those things. I would like it if we could maybe poach a couple of those jail cells or something from the library friends, just so we don't have it scattered around the entire hallway. You know, it's not the best. I mean, the building is secure and it's locked and everything, but at the same time, it still is out in the open, and there are a lot of people coming and going. And,
We can certainly have that conversation. I mean,
you know,
that's been their territory for a long time. So
It's-
we'll have to have that conversation with them and see what other options we have, because it does seem like the, you know, we know that your storage space is quite limited, and we've been talking, like, I think part of the conversation about expanding the liquor store in the first place happened because of concerns about not being able to buy in quantities that are beneficial for the business. So I think that, you know, in the meantime, we need to try and figure out how we can do that, how we can make that a little bit more.
yeah, we need more space. We just need some more space. Anything would be beneficial, and anything that can be locked would be even better, or
So like a jail
secured
cell.
in some way, shape, or form.
Like a jail cell? You're
It's
gonna
a
have
jail
some
cell,
big
yeah.
ass keys on your.
Yep, I want the big skeleton keys. With the,
We've got them.
I know you do.
but that's always an issue is storage with these things, and it doesn't make sense to buy any other way than that if you can
Right.
get these things. And
Man, that would be truly ironic, wouldn't it, to have all
Booze
the
locked up
booze
in-
locked up in the dry cell over there, like the one where they used to lock the folks up to
So-
cool down.
So, with storage as it is, are you, we're not making the margin that we could, or are you, you know? are
well,
we-
there's just a lot more things that we could buy in greater quantities. And,
Yeah, so we could be doing better.
Yeah.
By that.
and you know, that makes ordering a lot easier.
Right.
When you know you've got 50 cases of Crown Royal, which is your, 8-month supply or whatever. You know, it just, you're not touching things as many times. You know
Yeah.
right where they are, and they're costing a lot less. And
Costing a lot and more efficient, costing.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very inefficient when you think of how. Well, think when you do your personal grocery shopping. By the time you take it off the shelf, in the cart, on the counter, back in the
Yeah.
cart, and back, you know, the less times you touch merchandise, it's just more efficient all the way around. And pricing, and we could have better pricing. I mean, not just margins, but probably offer better pricing, which
Well,
would
that's
be more
that's
sales.
the biggest plus of some of these bulk buys too, is your margin is the same, but your pricing is much better. You know, people are, there's kind of a spending threshold, and if this was $13 and it's now $10, maybe they're adding something to that, or maybe they're getting 2 of them instead of, you know, it's not affecting margins in any way, shape, or form. It's
Oh, okay.
just, I think it's increasing, those things increase what people buy.
And they know what the prices are, and they know what they can get them at somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a sale they'll put off or go somewhere else for.
Just makes the liquor
Just
store
loss
more
for us.
attractive to people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of items, or have you ever, do you like keep a little list of things people ask for that you just, you know, I know you only have so much space.
I have a lot of people that buy things by the case that we don't carry.
So you're already special ordering a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which means if they want it, maybe someone else was, or you think it's so obscure that it's just for that one
It
person?
gets to the point with that stuff where if you put in everything that everybody wanted, you'd have, you know, a bunch of things that only one person wanted to buy.
So you are down
That's
to just the one person.
Right. So I'm happy to sell them a case. You know, we're not touching it, we're not putting it on the shelf, we're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It comes into the back in a special spot, it sits in the box, and it's got their name on it, and they pick it up, and it's beautiful.
You made a customer happy.
Actually make more money off that box because we're not handling it and touching it and moving it from the box to the back shelf, to the front shelf, to the counter, to the, you know, it's a very easy sale in that respect.
And that's customer loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like we're going to hold on to the Sunday sale thing for a while, and I think I can speak for what I would like to, and you guys maybe can agree or disagree with me, but I would like to chat with you again, to have you come and chat with us again in, say, September, and tell us, you know, or maybe even earlier than that, but probably September, and show us what trends you've been finding, and if it still pays for us to have.
Yeah, we can see some stuff by then.
Yeah.
You know, there's enough weeks in where we can see, and we've got a fisherman's picnic in there, and a rendezvous days, and you know, some of these really, really big weekends, we can see exactly what we took from Saturday or Monday,
Right.
and put into Sunday.
And compare that historically
Now,
back to
my
years.
my kind of idea with Sunday sales is to, you've got to put a year in with noon to 5 before you look at closing for any time of year or modifying any hours or changing that formula at all. You know, you've got to kind of stick with what you started with and see what a year gives you.
Yep.
And then from there, see what needs to be. I mean, we may months and decide it just isn't worth it. There's not enough people around, but we got to give it a year to see how it shakes out.
It's not a huge cost to go through that experiment,
No,
find out.
no.
So are you suggesting that we keep Sunday open all through the winter and everything like that too?
For the first year,
For
yeah.
the first year.
Definitely.
Okay.
We've got to see just what it can do. You know, if we stop, then we sell it short and we don't have a good model anymore. But if we do
Okay.
it for a year, we've got some good numbers, and then we can compare every Saturday and Monday to that Sunday and see
figure out
just
when
what
we
it
wanna
took
keep it.
and what, yeah.
Yeah, because we could potentially run into like some of those weekends, like Valentine's weekend or something like that. We'll let you keep an eye on this.
You know, the good thing about Sunday is it's Sunday. It's not like Tuesday. There's still people around every Sunday, no matter what the time of year it is. You know, where, well, even in the summer or in the spring or in the fall, Tuesday is the big day of the, you know, it's not like liquor stores have traditionally been closed on Tuesdays, and you're adding that to the mix or something.
Right.
Sunday is, a lot of people take long weekends. Just as many people stay Saturday to Monday as stay Friday to Sunday now.
Well, I certainly didn't ask you to come this evening because I was that concerned about Sunday sales. I think they're just a given. And with us building out our people who come to this community, and I think there may be 1 or 2 weekends in November that are quiet, and January, And then after that, all we're hearing about is all the stores that aren't open when they wish they were, or restaurants.
Right.
So I think that's the least of our issues. But you are one of our best opportunities besides the campground for this community. And I just would like to hear from you more often. And I'd like to know what isn't working well, and I'd like to know what is or what we can do better. Because ultimately, we need to find you a better space and a better liquor store. But we have to have you more top of mind
Sure.
and understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come and communicate and just let us know, because we're not thinking about it, we aren't in there
Right.
every day. That's helpful. For all
Right,
of
and
us.
I think a lot of, it is just kind of this. Sometimes I don't think much is thought about that other than, well, we get this from the liquor, 200,000 for this, and and some of those things like that. But yeah, there's a lot more to it, and there's a lot more going on.
And are we running this business the best way we possibly could? Maybe not. And that's the staff, the whole thing. You got to think about staff and staff morale and dedication, your space, everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of great people that work there. They're all very hard-working ladies. One other thing I have to, before I forget, because Gene Erickson always asks at the very last moment, I need to get some advertising money for the Lions for Fisherman's Picnic. And there's not another meeting between now and Fisherman's Picnic, correct? Yeah, he came and saw me today.
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah. Like it's just as simple as just,
Yeah.
here you go. We did $1,500 last year for their advertising fund. I'd like to do that again if we could.
I'll make a motion
Second.
at that. Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
What's the ad for? Them or for you?
Their Fisherman's Picnic, the little flyer that they put out, it's our advertising.
Oh, your advertisement. Okay. You just want to put an ad in it.
And it's advertising, but it really benefits the Lions a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not
yeah.
it's not a donation.
No, it's advertising.
Advertising.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you were being kind and doing an ad for the Lions Club event, or you're doing an ad for the liquor store and it's in their thing.
That's
It's the second one.
Yep,
Got it.
yep, it's advertising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got
Yes.
it.
Sponsorship style.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? Hearing none. All in favor?
I
Opposed? Okay. Got anything else?
Yeah, one last thing. Have we ever compared what we pay our part-time, full-time, anywhere clerks, me included, to what other cities in the region pay their help in the liquor store?
Probably not.
Is that something that's ever been?
Not while I've been there,
No.
but that's only been 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's something that that you think would be helpful to do,
Well-
then we could.
I've looked into it a little bit, and a lot of the liquor stores in the region pay their help more than we do. To be a little bit more commensurate with what everybody else is getting in the business.
So we should take a look.
We should take a look at that. We also should. That will probably involve having this conversation with the. Well, because it's mostly part-time people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is the union not
Because
involved?
otherwise, that.
Well, the union is involved with our part-timers.
Yeah. So we would have to
Gets a little
Oh,
have that in
complicated, but-
Right.
conversation as well. That might be something for the personnel committee to do.
But it is it's, like I say, it's a busy place. We run a lot of people through there, and we run a lot of money through there, and it's not the same as working at the Green Door in Beaver Bay, or the Silver Bay Muni, or the Two Harbors liquor store. It's a far bigger task than what they.
Well, let's set up
do.
some time. Because if you've already done some homework on this and you know what some of those comparative numbers are and things, then we can, like you and Mike and Tracy and I, as the personnel committee, can
Mhm.
sit down and we can talk about that sometime.
I would appreciate that very much.
So we'll try and find a time to do that then.
Very good. Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. Do you have anything for me?
I mirror what she says, and we'd like to hear from you more often.
Okay, yeah, I would like to visit with you more often. Are there any specific numbers you want me to be looking for, or any trends that you want me to be tracking, or anything like that over the summer? Or
Jim Bean. No.
I mean, I pretty much
I don't.
Can you tell out of town versus or out of county versus?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Plus Canadian versus
Right.
American.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I've been doing it since I was 8 years old or whatever. I'm pretty adept at.
But I mean, does you reports?
Right. Can
There's no way to do those in
Okay.
I
reports.
figured, yeah.
You know, personally I can, but that's not something unless you want people to take part in a survey or something like that. And,
Right.
you know, how many people are going to take part in it? I don't
Probably
really
not
think
a ton.
surveys are that good of samples.
It is a pain, but say you go to Best Buy and that's your zip code. And
I always
that's-
lie and give them the
That is a whole other step, and on a busy day, I understand headache. But
You know, slow times a year can maybe
it'd be
do some
real.
things like that.
Yeah, it'd just be really interesting to see percentages of
What would
that.
you do with that information?
It's just I kind of hoard information, so I don't even know what I would do with it yet.
Just keep it and save it. And
Yeah.
no, the one I really try to pay attention to are the Canadian customers. You can just take little words like
Yeah. A jug.
Mike's Lemonade or anything that's not beer that's carbonated is a cooler. It's
Yeah.
a generic term. A small bottle of booze is a Mickey.
Yeah.
There's different little things that they say that kind of let you know. And I really think it's about 35 to 40%. And I would have guessed my first year with the exchange rate being higher, it was probably more than that in the summertime. I bet it was pushing 50% of our sales.
And the
That's
difference right now hasn't slowed it down, huh?
A little
I mean,
bit, but not enough to.
Yeah.
A case of beer is still $58 up there, and it's
You serious?
22 here. Yeah. Well,
They're
they're
still
always telling me
better.
prices of different things, and it's exorbitant.
And their tax rates are quite high.
Yeah, it's
Well, that's part of what makes it so expensive.
13% or whatever on each GST and PST. There's the two of them. I think it's 13 or 14%. It's pretty high.
So if you notice anything change with that, let us know. If you notice anything that could be troubling, as far as patterns or anything that you see it developing, let us know, and otherwise we'll touch base with you a couple of months or something.
Yeah, that would be great.
Be good.
September, could
Yeah.
kind of get through summer and
Yeah.
get ready to switch seasons, and then
This
we'll
is a
talk
good.
again.
This gives us a good reason to have you come and talk a lot. How are Sunday sales doing? So
It looks like that.
Up lights are looking great.
Yeah. And
Much needed.
there was a roof leak. Is that?
Roof leak. It's been dry again though now, not windy. And that roof is so. I believe most of the water comes in along the edges of some of the boxes or compressors or things up there, and it can come in and it can go 50 feet this way before it finally.
Okay.
And that is, I know this is a busy time of year, but that back door is starting to stick. It's breaking apart, and so when it gets hot and it swells, you just about have to kick it open to get, yeah.
yeah.
I love the sign though. That's
What's that?
the sign.
Yeah.
Huge improvement. I'm happy with these improvements too, but of course we
So
need.
you're talking about moving the sign over to the light on the sign?
No, just the sign. Just that it exists. I think that was last year, but.
When I moved it to the side over there?
That's what we did,
To the
Dave.
bucket
Oh,
side?
it was on the front and then.
Yeah,
just-
it was on the
oh,
front, and
yeah, yeah.
everybody didn't know where the liquor store
Right,
was.
Yeah.
And
Oh no.
Tracy and I were talking about it, like, why don't we just stick it right here so they can see it when they.
Maybe
And it's
that
lit.
I never
accounts for
saw
the
it
increase
before.
in sales.
Yeah.
Until it was moved, I'd never seen it.
Well, why would you?
Who knows?
It didn't. You
We
couldn't
don't have
see
to
it.
answer
Right.
that question as often as we used to.
Okay, does
We
anybody
still
have
do.
anything else for Chris? Keep up the good work.
All
Thanks,
right.
Chris.
Let us know if you need
Thank you,
anything.
everyone.
All right. So let's move. plat for the Nordic Star development here, which is the EDA's development. You might notice in your packet, we've got the resolution 2017-36, which acknowledges the concerns and findings that come with that, and it has also a drawing and a description of the plat itself. So just to refresh everybody's memory, we're talking about having this be a private road and not a municipal road, because one of the findings that they had, finding number one, was that a public street would be way too expensive to the development itself. But there are also some other findings here that they need to add a fire hydrant, I believe, is one of the things to their plans in the center of the of that area, or in an accessible part of that area. So maybe you have more to say about this.
Well,
You
the
probably
only
do.
thing I have to say is that unfortunately, One Roof has asked us to pull this from the agenda because they're not prepared to bring forward that information, and has asked to move it to the next council meeting.
Oh, I guess I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
I was
they sent
wondering.
that notice Monday, I think.
I was kind of like getting confused for a minute.
Yeah.
I thought we weren't.
In any
Thank
case, that what's in your packet is going to be
In our packet
in your
again.
packet again. And
Okay.
two of the things that are listed on those findings
Yeah.
would have been a pretty difficult ask for One Roof to get prepared in the 2 weeks. So they just need a little more time, and that seems
Okay.
completely reasonable.
That totally
Alright.
makes sense. I was surprised that they would be able to react to those requests anyway, but I guess I missed that email.
They were
that
being
came on Monday.
optimistic that they might be able to, but they think they were also cautious that they
Yeah.
needed to make sure that they had the right. With MPCA was still in process when we met with,
Okay.
they met with the planning commission, so I'm not sure what the status of it is, but they believe that they'll have that in hand by the next meeting.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll pass on that and we'll move along. So the next thing on the on the agenda is the library budget for 2018. So we have several of the library board members present here and the library director. So if you guys want to discuss, you can come up to the microphone. Multiple microphones. I can let Steve take it from after. I'll do a quick introduction, and then we'll let Steve take it from there. So over the past 2 years, so that would be 2016, 2017, the library asked for a 7.58 and an 8.2% increase each of those years to allow to get the staffing up to a level where library board and strategic planning had identified that the library needed to be at to provide the level of service that the public desired and demanded. And that was done, and we have the staffing in place. And now, as was part of that agreement with the county and the city, the library has gone back to the under 5. And I might point out that I'm on the finance committee for the library. So when we were going through the budget, we were very conscious of keeping it below 5, and also respecting the fact that that we were given some good some good space by the county and the city to operate. So you'll notice the 3.76 is what's being proposed, which is a fair amount underneath what is the maximum. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Steve, or if you guys have any questions, you can throw them out there.
Yeah, it's really not a huge change in our budget from years past, except that we had to dip into drawing some money out of the library designated fund to help us bridge this, and as we onboard the assistant director. And so there were numbers that were adjusted in the budget to help bring us back where we need to be. But it's pretty much pro forma. Most of the impacts in our budget have to do with salaries and the benefits and the additional costs relating to that. We anticipate that by the end of 2018, designated fund, possibly. My feeling is it might be a little bit more impacting to 2019, but I believe we're going to be back into just the 2011 or 211 funds are operating budget by that time.
And so to interpret that, the 211 is what the designated fund account that the library has.
215 is the
215. Yeah. So 211 is the
is the operating
Yeah.
budget.
And you'll notice some of the things that have been brought down in this this budget here. So, for example, books, periodicals, and audiovisual is 7,000, whereas in the past it's been 25,000 roughly. So that is an expense that's been identified as qualifying under the designated funds that the library has.
That's being deposited in the 215 through the library friends, through various donors and whatnot, through Arrowhead Library System, that's mostly offsetting that. And that doesn't show on this spreadsheet, but the net impact on our 215 is much lower than what the numbers here reflect.
Does anyone have any questions?
There are a couple things about the way the library operates that might interest you. When it comes to programming and all the programming that we have in the library, I don't believe we've paid anything out of our own budget for programming this year.
Which is
Everything was
incredible.
provided for free through Legacy, was funded by the Friends, was funded through some other kind of a grant, or the performer did it for free. And that's really, really nice for the library that we can have that level of activity and have it funded that way. So that's been a real plus for us. And I anticipate that continuing going forward.
Is that something you've ever considered making a nice story about, or a radio interview, or up on the website for the library as a recognition of where you're getting the money, but
It
also
could
to
be,
let people know?
The Legacy stuff is, every library in the region has an opportunity to benefit from that. But the Library Friends thing, that's a big deal. They paid for an awful lot of our programming this year, and I tell them constantly how important that is. The thing about the Library Friends that's really cool is that the money they give us, we can use like operating funds, as opposed to other areas that we might draw funding from where it's designated for capital improvements or other kinds of things. And that's a very powerful thing that the Library Friends support us like they did last year. It was $9,000.
I think those are the kinds of things that you should draw attention to. And I also think those are the things, like, I don't know if it's on your website or the city's website, but that should be up there permanently for people to, they're not
understand.
thinking about it, or when they do think about it, they should have an easy thing to recognize that this is how this happened, especially because you've had some really great programming.
Yeah. We have had fantastic programming
Yeah.
this year. In fact, it worries me, like, am I ever going to be able to top this? Because this year it's been just off the hook good stuff.
And I've heard
And
constant
so
praises about it.
some of the numbers that we're seeing at these events that we're getting that we're not paying any money for, we're seeing 60 to 100 people in the library doing this sort of stuff, which it accomplishes so much for the library. Number one, it builds a familiarity with the library, so people know where it is. People know, where things are inside the library. Second, it just makes it a really welcoming space. We already have, that's also, people have called that Office 2.0 because it's just where everybody goes to do their work. They use it as their office because it's comfortable and it's accessible. And there's a reason why this is a 5-star library. It's because we're able to get programming like this to show up.
Library
And-
programming is really powerful for several reasons. One of them is that you draw people into the library who might not be regular library users, and if you can get them in there a couple or 3 times, the next time they're like, they've got those videos down at the library. Maybe we should go there to get our videos. Or, oh, they have those audio books. We're going to try. Maybe we should. And before long, you've drawn them in to be a library user. It's one of the most powerful ways you can get people in your community to use your library who haven't been library users in the past. And then the other thing is it builds a sort of sense of community and space around the library that's really different than people who just come from get more value out of facility than you might have gotten otherwise.
And I assume you have to report all those stats to the legacy fund
Oh, yeah.
anyways.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, you've got them easily assembled. It wouldn't be difficult to make sure they were put out somewhere else for the rest of the people in this community to see.
And they're reflected in our annual report that's accessible on the Department of Education website of the state.
So what kind of dollars come in from Legacy annually?
I don't know what Legacy spends on our programming. They have a pool of money, and then they say, do you want this program? I always say yes.
So they
Not
don't give it
everybody
direct-
does.
They don't give it directly to the library?
No,
give
they
it
pay
to-
the performer, and then the performer comes to your library and does their program.
Even easier.
So now the legacy fund lists all of their, where they put their money. I suppose you might not see per performance or event, but you would see the total that they gave.
The total that
Here.
Arrowhead Library System spends on legacy
Benefited
programming
from,
is
right?
public information, and I could get that number for you
Yeah.
if you're interested.
Well, I'm
It's
more
a lot.
interested in you selling your story out to this community.
Noted.
So, does anybody have any questions about the budget itself? Or Judy, do you have anything you want to say?
No, I'm thinking about what Tracy said and trying to figure out how we can get something out at Fish Pick about what Friends does that would support the Friends sale that is going on that weekend up at the.
Do they
commu-
just?
I have worked with the library friends to develop a little thing that they hand out, both prior to the book sale and during the book sale, that talks about where the dollars that they raise through their book sale go. So last year they handed out a little over $20,000. 9,000 came to us, so that means more than half of what they gave away went to other libraries through the county, Birch Grove, the school, Great Expectations, Grand Portage, the Violence Prevention Center, and some of those facilities got a sizable chunk of change. The library friends are so critical to our community. Not many schools in Minnesota actually have a book budget in their library. That's one of the places that gets cut in a school. I don't think any of our libraries in any of the schools here have a book budget except what the Friends gives them that allows them to buy books. They buy access to computer databases and some things and whatnot. I try to work really hard during the Fisherman's Picnic to help support that activity up there, and I think I've coached them how they can earn more money from their book sale, and they're doing very well with that. They made $14,000 at their book sale last year, and I kind of feel like they're going to make that much or more this year because I know they've got better quality material to sell this year.
Put that on the calendar.
Things, it's good for them to sell or you to sell all your stories, but then sometimes some of us get asked things. Well, we can't remember everything, even though you're kind enough to come and give us all these updates.
I can't remember anything.
Says the guy who says he wants to hoard all the information.
No, that's a habit.
Doesn't
He just
go back out.
keeps it
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
But it'd be, then that's a good reference point for all of us. Later when people ask us things and we can say, hey, look, you can write here and I can refresh myself or whatever, and it's the facts.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was going to ask if you have any concerns aside from meeting the high standards that you've set for programming this year.
Well, coming up in September, you want to talk about that with our strategic planning?
I was going to say, I don't know that we have concerns other than we've got 5 years to plan, and there are going to be some staff changes in that time, attrition. How does that work within the library? What does that look like? How does that affect the budget moving forward? What would be viable for the community beyond what we're currently doing? And what are the needs? 5 years from now, the needs will be different than the needs are today, though some of them will stay the same. And how do we get ahead of that? That's about it.
And there are some changes that we're seeing. Since broadband came in, we've seen a little bit of a dip in use of our video collection. That was kind of anticipated. It was one reason why I asked the Friends for support to renovate that collection over the couple years before broadband got here, because I wanted to be sure that we had a viable collection before that competition faced us. And that will be a matter going forward. And if people decide they want to download their movies and live stream them, then we may see some changes in the way we handle that part of our business. So yeah, there's challenges like that that are around us all the time and that we're facing on a daily basis.
Just watch and
that's just
see
my
how
way to-
Redbox is doing.
Yeah.
No, if Redbox
Well-
goes away, then maybe there's a signal.
That's by way of example. When I see people or talk to people and find out that they've been paying to, and I've talked to various people and have said to them, you know, if you came and, if all you did at the library was borrow videos, you probably would save enough in a year to recoup what you're paying in taxes to support the library.
There's a pitch.
On that note, so what Judy was talking about with planning, I just want to make sure that we go back to this, is that the library board is going, we've hired a consultant of sorts to lead us through a strategic planning process, because the last time we did a strategic planning process was 5 years ago for the library, and it gave us some really good goals to hit, and we've hit most of those goals. Moving forward, trying to help anticipate what the changes in technology and the changes in library usage are going to be, and how we can move our library from a 5-star library in our community to a 5-star library for our county, what we're shooting for this strategic planning process. And all of that is all represented in this budget. Now, changes that will happen in the future we're not certain about, but we are committed to having the library not be a burden to the community. So that's kind of a little bit of a more description of that. If you guys have any questions about the budget, I think it would be good to hear those. If you guys have any comments you want to make about the budget to the council, let me know. Otherwise, if there isn't any more conversation, then we could come up to a vote on this budget.
So just to be clear about the process now, because I know the library always comes in way before we ever deal with the rest of our budget. Where are we in the process of the budgets with the library budget?
With the library budget,
Yeah.
the library board has approved it.
Yep.
If you approve it tonight, we'll forward it to the county. They will approve it.
And as far as our budgetary, the city's budgetary process, we will be beginning to work on priorities and things like that at our next meeting. And so this is not far off from where we need to be. So, go ahead.
Well, I would make a motion that we approve the budget as presented. I've always been satisfied and really felt quite confident that our library directors have been very diligent about presenting what I think are reasonable budgets, recognizing that the asset that we have is really a community asset that is used by everyone, visitors, locals, and there's not one person that's turned away, or in fact the encouragement is get in there and use the place. So yeah, I appreciate everything that's done there.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just two questions, which are probably more of a Mike question. So it looks like we got a better deal on some building insurance.
Insurance is down a little bit.
Show me which numbers you're referring to.
I mean, it's not, I'm just,
Yes, we got a huge dividend last year.
oh, and that offset so it stayed really probably about the same or something.
Well, you
but-
can see the year-end 2016 number is the one that's our best, most recent complete number at 1,700. The 2017 budget was 65, but that was based more on our 2014 experience. So now the 2018 budget at 4 is
Down a little bit.
in the
I
middle
only
of
looked at
those
last
ideas.
I only looked at last year and above, and I thought, oh, great, that's a good deal. And then I'm assuming when you look at health insurance, that was, you're always trying to kind of guesstimate that rate, personal, whatever, right?
In health insurance is one of the tricky
Yeah.
ones. Not only do we not know what our rates are going to be, but we also don't know whether our employees are going to be opting for single or family coverage, and it makes a significant difference.
That's
So,
huge.
we're doing our best to predict what that's going to be.
Yeah, and you keep, best you can do.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you for coming in.
One more question.
Supposed to do that before we vote.
Right.
It's okay.
It's not a budget question.
It's not a budget question, yeah.
Is there a book?
Do you have that new?
No.
Anyway,
I
Do
mean,
you have
yes,
that new
but
volume?
that's not it either. There was some water issues after, when the building was redone. Has that come up again at all?
You know, Gary Gamble and his son went back around and they created kind of an earth berm against the back wall, and it has never been a problem again.
Oh, okay.
And Gary and I were out there looking at it a while back, and we probably need to pile some more dirt up there someday.
Have you considered gutters there? Is that,
Well, gutters might be. I'm afraid that our roof is so big that we'd overwhelm any gutter on a heavy downpour.
That's probably true.
But
We
it's
don't have a
it's
great place to send the water to.
we don't have a
Right,
place to send
there's
the
that
water
too.
either.
yeah.
The other
But-
big change that was made was the retaining wall that's between the phone building and the library that has been removed and made quite a significant increase in space there for water to get through. So a lot of the water's trying to go that direction. And then there were also improvements made in the space between the Arrowhead building and the library, and a new rain garden installed to
And
try to
that-
make a home for some of that water.
That rain garden, by the way, if anybody has looked at it, is a jungle. It's amazing how well that took off. But it should be, because they ran up our water bill a lot last summer watering it. So
Fair enough.
fair enough.
So
Which
it
comes
does
back
work?
to the city. So
What was that?
Is it working?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
So
it
it
is
does
We
working.
certainly had
Water
rain.
hasn't been an issue.
We haven't had
Try it out.
we haven't had any
It
water.
has
in the
not.
library.
Oh,
No.
good.
Great.
Yeah,
It
we
is
haven't had
not.
any water in the library.
No,
So-
and we did install a gutter over the back door and the side door this last year. Wow, has that improved things? When it's a rainy day, we no longer have to walk through a waterfall to get into the building. That's
Yeah.
really
Do you have anything you want to say about this? I mean, because I can point out the dates, and
Yeah,
we've gone
I
through
do.
this a couple of times together now. So.
Yeah, I hope it feels a little bit familiar to you. We're not looking at picking any particular priorities for this budget cycle. I think that you've pretty well established your project level priorities, and we'll try to refer back to the vision and values as much as we can when we're talking about the budget with you. So if there are individual goals in other places you want to make sure the departments know about, you can mention them now or in a future meeting. More importantly is talking about the upcoming schedule. In August is the time when we try to schedule a little more in-depth opportunity for you to discuss the upcoming budgets with the department heads. We've done that different ways. I think that your preference, this group's preference, has been to just make a long day of it and try to get as much done as possible, and maybe even a Wednesday of a council meeting. It's up to you and what your schedules will allow. As many meetings as we could get during the department head's regular schedule is great, but if that doesn't work for you, then we'll just, we'll do what we have to do.
As long as there's a party sub, I don't care.
You didn't mean during the day Wednesday?
That's what he's saying.
You did mean during the day.
Yeah, it did.
Wednesday is like a no-go for me.
Yeah, so we can pick any day of the
Every
week.
day.
Wednesdays are for me too.
Yeah. So other than that, I can.
But you also mentioned a council meeting possibility.
Well, but
That's
I'm
what
sure if that's
we've
what
done
you
in the
meant.
past. It doesn't matter to us which day of the week it is.
so we can start putting together some ideas for that. We've got time now. We've got a month about. So.
Well, you don't have a month. You got 2 weeks to really set
Oh right,
and
because we have to
schedule
advertise it, right?
when we're going to do this. By your next meeting, we really want to have decided. By the end of your next meeting, I would say we really want to have decided. And then that it's we've got it called out as the August 9th through the 23rd right now to meet with the department heads, and then another review of kind of the total draft budget at the end of August. And by that first meeting in September, just 3 meetings from now, we're going to have our final draft budget completed and a preliminary levy set. That's the goal. So with somebody like Chris, for instance, he referenced some staffing issues that he wants to talk about, and he and I are just starting to talk about that. His budget doesn't necessarily have to be done by early September because there's really only one piece of it that affects the property tax levy, and that's how much money we decide we're going to use from the liquor store.
Yeah.
So as long as we've picked that number, and it's already in a draft budget, we'll have talked about it before then. He may be coming afterwards to sit down with you again and go and do an in-depth conversation about budget issues and staffing and things like that at the liquor store. Library's done, and so the park is the biggest one, I think, in terms of the amount of conversation we need to have. We also want to talk to our property maintenance, streets department. We'll have the fire department come in, although I don't think there's really a lot of variables to go over with them. And then there's all kinds of other things that Kim and I will cover as well.
Do you have the information on local government aid? I mean, I think we all have painted a pretty negative and pessimistic picture about what local government aid was going to mean, and it sounds, at least my understanding is that it's probably better for the city of Grand Marais than we thought it might be.
We do have it. I don't have it right now, so we'll have to talk about that when we go through our first draft of the budget.
The amount of local government aid for the state that was approved increased for this calendar year.
There weren't a lot of anybody's plans that affected the amount that we were going to get.
Right.
I thought in the end, though, that rather than getting a reduction, we would be in line for keeping at least what we
Yeah.
had been receiving in the past.
And, well, receiving this year, not
Okay.
deep into
Yes.
the past.
Okay.
So we're down to a point now where, the changes aren't as drastic anymore unless it's all disappearing in one year.
Right. Because
This is just
we've
not
been
as much
talking
of it.
about a total loss of the local government aid
Mhm.
at some point, and
Mhm.
I think even under one of the proposals that might have happened.
That point would have been now, yeah.
But my recollection was that we were going to retain what we received last year and weren't going to end up going backwards.
I think that was the last proposal I read too.
Okay.
I think in the past, you've had it all compiled about historic local government aid. Can we do that again during some of these budget meetings?
Kind of depressing.
Oh, it's really good ammo.
It's info, which he likes to hoard.
He wants to hoard it.
Put it in the
Yeah.
big box.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim.
Okay, so
basement.
does anyone else have any other comments about the schedule? Now we kind of know what we're getting ourselves into.
So when are we going to try to set those? Are we going to try to set additional meeting dates, or,
If you know your schedule, we'll do it right now. If you want to think about it, we'll send me some ideas and we'll compile and have a conversation next meeting.
Tuesdays or Fridays are best for me.
the longer we wait, the more likely my calendar is going to fill up.
Okay.
I can say that you wanted to start around the 9th, it looks like.
Well, that's just an idea. It doesn't have to be the 9th. We're going to get...
Well, I know not the 9th, but I mean around that week is when the first, you'd like to start having possibilities, right?
Well, we're for sure asking people to give us their information on the 7th, so it would be
Okay.
pretty hard to go faster than the
No.
9th.
No,
I
that's
think if
fine.
we wanted to pick 2 days, and you want Tuesdays and Fridays, why don't we just say the 15th and the 22nd, 2 Tuesdays?
I am out that last week that you just mentioned.
22nd would not work for me.
I got too
How about
much
the
stuff.
15th and the 18th?
15th and 18th.
18th is a no-go. But that first week,
The 11th?
around in there, Thursdays are better days, and Tuesdays, but Fridays are busy days. It's hard for me to.
Do you have any Thursday
Sure.
time, Jay?
But
Or not, you're busy.
they're not ideal.
Is there a
I don't-
time of day when it would be easier?
Later.
Well, I say Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays are probably the best for me because that's when I have people at the shop that are reliable.
Are Mondays good for other people?
Monday, Tuesdays? Okay.
14th and 15th?
You want to do them in a row?
Yeah,
Just want to bang it out, get done.
yeah.
Do we?
We
We need
do
to
have on
do
the
this?
We won't necessarily need 2 days. It depends on how many hours you want to go through it.
Yeah,
Tuesday?
it would be way better for me to do one day, and that would be Tuesday.
All right, then Tuesday. Can I have your whole afternoon?
We've got a MnDOT highway project meeting on that day.
The 15th?
Is it 1 to 3?
1 to 3, yeah.
Can I have your morning?
Oh,
Yeah.
You can have mine.
Tough. That's tough.
yeah, it's my open day.
That's your open day, like the day you're not working?
No, that's the day I get
She
up
opens.
early.
Oh, you get up and
And
early.
I'm out of there by the afternoon. The 8th is too early, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just being difficult.
So the
I am as well.
14th, though.
Monday?
Monday the 14th.
Works for me.
What do you mean?
Okay.
Anton just won't be
Just
there.
pencil in
Was he
12:30 to 4:30.
12:30 to 4:30.
And then we will tighten that up for you as we get closer.
What time does it start?
12:30 to
12:30, got it.
4:30.
Okay.
And we'll tighten it up as we get closer.
So it's the 14th.
And then if we do find that we need extra time, we can take some of the shorter conversations and either put them in a normal council meeting agenda or meet a half an hour early, if that works for people. Okay,
Cool.
moving on then.
Moving right along. All right, you're up. Thanks for waiting for us, John. Appreciate that.
Bet you that was fun, huh?
Yeah, now he knows more about how
I
the
love
city
talking
works.
about libraries and budgets.
Libraries and liquor stores, you know?
Yeah, so you have a
Well, actually, I built a couple libraries in the cities, so.
All right.
And I'm friends of the Roseville Library, Ramsey County Library in Roseville, so.
Sweet.
It's got to be kind of fun to go to the libraries that you help build
Yeah.
and actually.
I just keep looking at all the stuff. Yeah, that
missed
looked
this
nice.
we did a good job on that. Wow, look at that. All right, so you've got a couple things for us. You got a couple of bids that we need to approve, and
No.
oh,
No.
you don't have
No.
that. No.
I think everything was taken care of last week. or
We're
was
gonna,
Eric-
we have a resolution for the Lester Storage Building. So yeah, it was taken care of, but we're just
Okay.
gonna do that when you're done.
Okay.
Okay, so you're just gonna give us an.
I'm just going to give you an update. Again, I'm John Hagenmiller with McGough Construction Site Superintendent for the new Public Works Building. I'm here just to give you an update on, right now, we're, for exterior work, we're installing our rock subgrade. That's going to be another week and a half, just hauling in dirt. So the site is considerably busy with additional trucks and additional equipment running around because we also have the electrician in there installing underground conduit out to the Highway 61 and throughout the building site for light poles and security and stuff like that. So right now we're about 90% complete with the utility work as in sewer and water. There's a few minimal things that we have to take care of before it is complete. And right now, we're also installing all the bar joists and metal decking on the roof. So it's getting a hard roof right now, and we should be pretty close on Friday afternoon, but otherwise we'll finish up on Monday. And right now, we're scheduled to remove the screw anchors that are in the earth that are supporting the precast walls. Since we get that roof on, it ties everything together, and we can take them out. And then we'll grade it out Friday afternoon or Monday morning. And actually, underground plumbing will start on Monday.
Wow.
So, and then tomorrow also, we're gonna field measure for all the window openings. So he's gonna be up here, and I think he said frames are gonna be 2 to 3 weeks out because that's how long the glass takes. So, and roofing insulation and the roofing subroof will start next Thursday, so we'll have a big delivery of a couple semi-loads of insulation for the roof, and then they'll put plywood on top, and they'll ice and water shield over the top, so it'll be watertight, hopefully in a week and a half.
Cool.
And we'll be starting to prep for concrete the week of August 7th, so it's a week and a half away. And then we'll probably pour late that week or early the week of the 14th. So we'll get our concrete in, and then right after that, we'll start framing.
Have you guys considered that the first week of August is going to be like terrible to get stuff up here on 61 because of tourist traffic and stuff like that? I guess it probably won't slow you guys down much. You guys are going to be traveling 55 anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's, we can't predict what the traffic's gonna be and stuff like that, but it's one of those things that we have to deal with, so. Shipment might come in late, and usually our shipments, for big items have come early. They arrive, park alongside the road on 61 somewhere, and then show up at about 7 o'clock
Sweet.
in the
Yeah.
morning, so.
Try and do that as much as you can.
Try to keep as much traffic up as possible. And just overall schedule, per the schedule that was in the contract, we're within a few days here, a few days there. We're ahead of the underground plumbing, but we're a couple days behind on the metal deck and roofing because that was supposed to show up the 17th, but it didn't come in till 19th, so.
All right.
And again, everyone's welcome to stop by. Just please stop in the trailer and grab a hard hat and vest. And again, the traffic has increased up there with trucks coming in and out and more activities on site. So just beware. Any questions?
You guys have any questions?
Sewer line looked like it went in without,
Oh, the water line?
the water line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we.
No rock, yeah.
There's a few here and there. From the entrance to the site.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. From the entrance to the site down to where we hooked up, and which was 400 feet, we actually bored it in.
Oh.
So they bored underneath the walking path and actually underneath the storm drain, and then back up to where they hooked up. So
Nice.
Well, that's awesome.
it saved considerably a lot of money doing it that way, and and that was one reason why the excavation price was quite a bit lower that they bet on that they could bore it in.
Cool.
Good.
So instead of tearing up the path, having to replace it and redo the fence and all that stuff. So
Cool.
And who wants to do the extra work?
no. So
Cool. Is this this is probably not something that John's. Is this something we can talk to John about, or is it?
I assume that they've been paying him the whole time anyway, but
They
he
better.
might be interested in, which is
I'm
not
not
in
in
front of
there.
you.
Yeah, they paid me.
Yeah, good. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we're waiting on is the lien waivers that the subs are going to be providing, that they're getting paid as well. Otherwise, what we have on the colorful side is the spreadsheet that McGough created to kind of track the payment process for us and what items are being requested here, so you can look at that if you're interested. You can see that the current request is $1,017,000, although we're retaining $47,800 of that, so the actual amount of the payment, if you flip over to the less busy side, is $969,754. So better luck next time on getting a seven-figure check out of us. But this was submitted by McGough. It was approved by our architect, meaning that they certified that that is the work that was completed. And we're just waiting on a couple more little paperwork items before we actually hand the check over. But if you wouldn't mind just going ahead and approving the payment of $969,754.
Is there a motion for such?
So move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think it's great to see you guys are being so diligent about it. I appreciate all the attention being paid to it. So
Thanks.
Very good.
Appreciate it. It's fun working up here.
yeah, I'm sure it's not bad.
Really?
Yeah, I like it up here.
Nice.
Any
There's no
further
traffic.
discussion? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, fantastic. Wonderful.
And then if you wouldn't mind, just go ahead and approve the resolution 2017-37, which is the Lester Storage Building that we talked about last meeting with Eric.
I wasn't here when what are we doing?
Just the cold storage building.
Just say yes.
I figured it was a cold storage building, but I just wanted to verify.
Well, and yeah, just so you're aware, I was over budget significantly, but it is.
Yeah, I watched the video.
Okay, good.
I did
That's
my,
what we're
did
talking
my
about.
homework. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the Lester storage building? No one wants to move for that one?
Dave? No?
I was the one that was more willing to wait on it, remember?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve
Well done.
the cold storage, what, less,
Cold-
Resolution
Resolution-
2017-37.
2017.
oh my God, 37.
37.
We've done 37.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
But I did come around.
I'm glad you got that in. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you, John, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so now we have a couple other things, correct?
Yeah,
that you'd
two more
like to
things.
discuss?
First was already sent around. The EDA has sent us an invoice for a portion of the money that you have already committed to paying towards the housing project. They have made a payment to One Roof to actually put a down payment on the buildings, and this is our share of that. So you committed 75,000 of 175,000. They're actually only spending 100 of 175,000, so 4 of the 7 units right now. And so this 42,857 is your share for 4 of the 7 units.
Is there a motion to approve this invoice?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second? I'll second that. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, excited to see that moving forward.
Okay.
Last bit.
Talk about that one.
Oh, he says. Oh. Okay, go for it.
Ordinance passed in 2004 added this section to City Code Chapter 2 Administration that says about vacancies, a position on a municipal board, commission, or committee shall be deemed to be vacant upon the occurrence of any of the following. If we skip down to F, abandonment of the position, a position shall be deemed to be abandoned and shall be declared to be vacant if the person holding the position is absent from 3 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings, or more than 25% of the regularly scheduled meetings during a calendar year. So here is the attendance report for the Planning Commission.
So it looks like we need to find a planning.
Yeah, so Lisa Gergetz has not attended from, she was originally appointed, I think, in February, or maybe, we might not have had a meeting in February.
We did not. There was one meeting held in January before she was appointed.
Right, and so she attended one meeting, and since that has not attended any of the meetings, has not communicated to my knowledge about her lack of attendance. You know, I mean, it's important that we have a quorum and full complement of our commission members, and, you know, I think that we need to act on filling that vacancy.
I think that sounds right. So we should advertise for a position in the planning, on the planning department.
Chris, does the council need to take any official action here?
You should probably have a motion to declare the vacancy.
I would make that motion.
Okay, motion made to declare the vacancy on the planning and zoning commission. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So she hasn't communicated, has anyone talked to her?
Her family is in the process of moving out of town,
Oh, okay.
like staying in the area but moving out of town. So I'm assuming that's part of the situation,
Out of the city limits.
out of the city limits. Yeah.
So, but
I haven't talked to her about attendance. I have continued to send her materials, and
Yeah.
even as between July 5th and July 13th, she asked if she could still be of use at the meeting on the 13th, and I did tell her yes, but I guess I don't generally talk to board members about attendance.
Right. And so, will this come as a surprise? Is what I'm wondering.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, maybe.
It's really good to be have open communication. You know.
I'll follow up with her. I mean, I see her on a somewhat regular basis, so
Okay.
I can follow up. It's not. I don't think it'll be too much of a surprise.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Did we already vote on that?
Nope.
No. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. All right. So we'll get that advertisement in. Any further business? Council reports. Mr. Mills, you are up.
Parks and Trails Commission is forming, what was it called, an executive committee or task force or
Something along those lines.
Yeah. to
Yes.
get the joint city-county kind of parks talking about what responsibilities are going to fall onto whom and how and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
There's some concern there from the commission.
And this is mainly regarding the Sawtooth Bluffs project.
Yes, sorry.
The, oh, go ahead.
I was just prepping you. I was just
Oh, you were.
getting it ready for you.
Mopping it up.
Yeah,
Do you have anything else?
The Sawtooth Bluffs planning process, the county received that grant from the coastal program, and the requirement is that that grant money be spent within 6 months. So there is a really tight timeline to prepare this plan. I'm concerned that a 6-month period is a very short period of time to put together a plan for a project that has been talked about a lot, but in a way, we're starting from scratch. And I'm concerned that at the end of the 6 months, we won't have completed the work that will be necessary. And one of the thoughts was that, well, if the county and the city could spend some time talking before the planning process even begins to talk about what kind of partnership this park might be. The city and the county have never done anything like this, and to start from scratch, I think to have conversations is probably a good first step. I mean, I don't know if it's a county park and the city is a cooperative partner, or if it's a city park and the city is county is a cooperative partner. Or, I mean,
Now, see, we've done all those models before, so I'd say we have a good history of doing things like this. We just haven't done this one yet.
yeah, well,
Yeah, what's the origin of the library or the history of that partnership?
Oh, why
Or
is
the
it a county
EDA.
library?
Or the pool, or the YMCA. I mean, there's a lot of different models where we've decided to share
Sure.
service delivery, and they're all different in the way we've decided to execute that partnership. So it wouldn't surprise me if this was its own unique flavor on that too.
I guess it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I don't wonder why we don't have it's not a county library. Certainly is by the entire county. Most of the metro is a county.
Anything else on that? On the
No, just
Trails?
that Lisa Kerr is trying to get this committee up and organized, and I think you got an email on this already, and you received an email, and I did, and the county staff, and I think Dave Turstig might have been included with that too, and the idea that
I'm holding out for a blue ribbon committee myself.
Blue Ribbon,
Yeah.
okay, well.
State fair on the mind?
Call it what you want.
Be the first to make the claim, and you'll get it. So, back to you.
Nope, that was it. That was all
That's
I
it,
had.
you're done.
Yeah, I was going to say nothing and then have you go, but
But then you would have come back.
we'll come back to it.
Good report, Dave.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The Highway 61 meeting scheduled for, what did I say, March?
The 15th.
August 15th, yeah, August 15th. They're pushing hard to get this thing completed, but I think there's still some major issues that need to be resolved. And I think those issues have to do with the interface between those business owners and currently use the right-of-way, and that there really hasn't been a lot of conversation.
Over that way, you mean?
Just every
This
project.
way, that way,
Project
this way. I
wide.
mean,
Oh,
it's
all of
all-
them.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not just one or two properties, it's,
The right of way.
I would say a
infringes on-
significant number of properties that will
Yeah.
be impacted by modifications to what the current use of the right-of-way is. That's part of it, that's part of their business, and so, yeah. I mean,
And there are
I don't know
also
if you- I don't know if
specific-
you want to add to that, but there's definitely, but we're going to get those things resolved as quickly as MnDOT would like to have those resolved.
No,
We-
I would say not.
We've repeatedly asked MnDOT to help us engage in a design process for this, and it seems like that those words are what we're asking them for are not necessarily translating terribly well. The MnDOT has specific rules that they have to match with the funding and et cetera, et cetera. And that's something that they have to contend with. But at this point, trying to figure out how the plans that our community have developed and the Minnesota Department of Transportation rules can mix, the dialogue has not been very strong.
And it shouldn't even be about that. I mean, MnDOT asking, so what's the city thinking about lighting? We're thinking we want to have a design process so someone who knows about lighting can talk to us about what the issues are around it and what good ideas are and which ideas might accomplish the goals of the community and where it's appropriate to include it and how much we might need and what the budget for it is so we can make some decisions about it. A whole design process. And they seem to think that we're just going to tell them what we want without having gone through that, and we're trying to explain that we need their help or somebody else's help to go through that, and it's not working out yet. They've
There's
kind of
actually
incorporated
options?
a lot of these ideas that they don't want to spend time working on into this category that they call aesthetics, which in their mind I think means not important to the current stage of the project. And I don't think that could be further from the truth. These things need to be decided early in the project so that we know that there is actually room for them and that they have the effect on the project that we want. And lighting is not just an aesthetic issue, it's a safety issue. It has everything to do with what we want the roadway to accomplish for us. And just as one example of the many things that they're not doing a design process with us on.
We talked about the wayfinding signs and, you know, how that might come to be too, and, you know, where again, they haven't proposed anything that, and we're gonna have to come up with some concepts and ideas and.
They haven't even proposed like a pathway to getting to having something done.
Right.
And that I think that's the trick is I think we both kind of want the same thing. We both want there to be they want us to tell them what to do so they can do it, because what we kept hearing is like on this specifically on the issue of lighting, but on many other subjects as well, is that MnDOT doesn't do lighting. Like that's one of the things that they said several times. And you know, we're all just kind of like, well, you have done lighting, and pretty sure that you have to maintain lighting, so you got to know something about lighting, and we want them to help us. Yeah, I know, right?
It's
It's
the
round and round and round.
inconsistencies
It's
are
round and
difficult.
The
round.
inconsistencies, I think,
to
because
keep track
on
of.
one hand, we talked a little bit about wayfinding signs and find out that the wayfinding signs that they have down in Two Harbors, I mean, somehow they exist, but they don't comply with MnDOT requirements.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, I don't know if it is not, because there seems to be a
Roberta
conflict
seems to
between
think
St.
so.
Paul and
Yes.
Duluth, so they're.
One of the wayfinding signs, if they have private businesses, can't be on the right of way. And I'm pretty sure all of them in Two Harbors are both private businesses and in the right of way.
Mhm.
What are we to think? It's difficult to figure out what's going on there.
Okay, so I would have thought that lighting was sort of like MnDOT's thing with all their own requirements. I mean, I'm surprised they even gave us an option.
That apparently, it's entirely up to us whether there's any lighting in the project at all.
Serious?
Well, we don't know.
I mean, look at all those ridiculous, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say this, but all those lights, I'll take the adjective out, as you come into town,
Yes.
that light it up like we're in the middle of a car lot.
Yeah.
I
That was a
just assumed
previous
that was just-
council's decision.
That was MnDOT's
I was
Well, I was
decision.
just- Yeah.
They installed them.
There's a lot of
So it
inconsistencies.
becomes difficult, but you know,
Yeah.
for
Wow.
beyond just the inconsistencies that are hard for us to keep track of because they do make policy changes. It's just the concept of what a design process looks like that we tried to explain before, that they offered a solution to bring in their landscape architect team from St. Paul, and I don't think they've really changed anything. So I'm not sure they've actually tried to address what we asked them to address. And so they're under the impression that they're going to come one more time and that this stage of the project will be ready to go and done.
It's hard to believe that it will be because of the conflicts with the business users and the right-of-way. I mean, MnDOT, I think, seems to be taking the hardline approach to saying it's our right-of-way. We will tell those business owners what they can't do on our right-of-way, which means you can't park on their right-of-way. Except that after the project is all over with and built, there is a process that would allow the city to come and acquire portions of that unused right-of-way for public purposes, which could be parking. And it's feels very disjointed in, you know, in the sense that you have to wait till you complete the project before you can go back and correct the problems.
Sure.
You know, instead of identifying the problems, saying this should be.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and we were told that there's just plainly no way to overcome that challenge, and I find that really difficult to. I find that difficult to absorb. You know, like
It's a frustrating thing. Like, what I mean, their project isn't a rethinking the way ours is.
Right, so they're just saying, okay, MnDOT, you come through, whatever, we'll
resurface and
we'll
redo.
see you when we're done or whatever. I mean, they're just not in an active role with it. Like MnDOT's just doing whatever it wants.
Well, I'm sure
I mean,
that
it's
they're
their plan
involved,
completely,
but
but not.
I don't think the same way that we've been
Yeah,
trying to
sure.
do a project.
Nor do
Yeah.
we want to the level that we want to be involved in, and that we're striving to be involved
Sure.
in.
Well, I was just curious. I mean, because it is next year, they've got to be farther ahead in the process, right? So, like, is their plan up?
I haven't seen it. I'm sure we can find it if there is.
Just curious to see, like,
So-
what kind of lights are they getting?
Well, as a follow-up to our issues, I feel like that a couple of us need to meet with the district leadership and talk to them about this. And so, who's interested?
I'm
Who's
in.
in? The two of you?
As long as it's a Monday, Tuesday, or Friday.
Well, I'll ask him if he's willing to come here, first of all, and sit down with you and talk about it.
I do believe that this is going to get done. I think it's going to be fantastic. I
It's a
also
lot of
think
work.
that the where we're at right now is not anywhere near where we need to be. We're starting to get some things represented on the drawings that we asked for, like the bump outs or the bulb outs for pedestrian crossings. But as a concession for that, then the request, or like what we're being told, is that we can't have crosswalks at every intersection. And that to me is just like, what? We can't have crosswalks at intersections? Like, that's where people cross. And there's a lot more stuff we need to get done before we're
Stuff
ready to
like
go
that
for
didn't
this.
come up when we were sitting there in these.
Oh,
I mean, that was a
It
real
did.
it's
basic
been
one.
inconsistent. Again,
Mm.
what we've been told about that has changed from time to time.
The some of the feedback that I've heard, most of the feedback that I've heard about the public's participation in that, I feel like a lot of the responsibility, the perceived responsibility is on the city. And that's kind of like, well, there's only so much, that we can really do at this point. It seems pretty much all on MnDOT, and that's really frustrating and hard to get that, message out when we're trying to collaborate and do something, with them.
And it's going to get worse if
Right.
they stay on the path that
Right.
they showed us at their last session.
Right.
Well, if you bring other people in, I mean, is it worth having a separate hour for which some of these business owners come back in and to some other people in MnDOT give their case?
It may be. I mean, what I had thought the process would look like was that we'd go through a design process that would allow those folks to be involved. That's not really the way I think MnDOT wanted to design it. They wanted to work with this smaller steering committee.
Mm-hmm.
But I still thought, well, after that work is done, we're at least going to be going back and kind of truth checking and at least communicating with people what the plans look like and where we're at on things. They're at a point now where I'm not willing to even do that. I don't think that we should go and pester people with these plans that are really not ready to inform them about what's really going to happen or address all the issues that they've already communicated with us, or might even just antagonize people with unnecessary talk about right-of-way issues. I think we're not ready to go back and it's unfortunate because that's really what I wanted to be at that step now, is where we could be communicating with folks again about what's going on with the project.
Well, and I think we've tried to be advocates on behalf of those businesses in that process, but I think MnDOT's just been reluctant to go out and talk to those businesses specifically about their ideas for that particular property. And I think without doing that, I think they're just creating the potential for major conflicts that, I'm not sure how we get past that other than MnDOT just saying, well, this is our plan, we're going to go ahead with it. And I would have thought
that's going to result in major conflicts, though.
Well,
that's-
and I would have thought that that's what we were trying to avoid and trying to design for everybody, and acknowledged and recognized the uniqueness of that right away, and we're not there.
Right.
That's why I get what you're saying, but at some point, if they aren't listening, then they need to, those other people need to hear from these people, and maybe sooner rather than later, because later, then it's trying
too
to
late.
fix something, that's too. I mean,
You're
if you
saying
don't
the
feel like
businesses?
you're getting, if you
Yeah,
don't feel like
right.
you're getting your message through, is that another way to make sure they understand there's real people behind here and it matters? I don't know, maybe not, but
I think it is. I just think the question that right now should be, what's the most effective strategy for us to move this conversation forward? And I think we at least owe the district leadership a conversation and sharing of our feedback in a real direct way, and see if they can. And the more allies, including all the folks that would be involved in the project, we can have contacting people, the better if it gets to that point.
Mhm. I've had several community members contact me about the Highway 61 project and be very concerned about different elements of it, and I've encouraged them to contact leadership, like our Senator Bach and Eklund and and to call the Minnesota Department of Transportation and leave a message and say, hey, this is what I'm really concerned about this project and stuff like that. So people in town are thinking about it too. So, we are trying to do our due diligence to make sure this project is as good as the process that we used to create the information that got us the project, And I hope that we can do that.
have we heard from anybody who's actually done that? Have followed through to make some? Check and see if you get any of those people to.
Oh, that it followed through in calling?
Right.
Oh,
Or
if I
emailing
see
or
him, I'll
whatever.
ask.
I certainly know a lot of people that have contacted the project manager directly
Good.
in the past year about the project, so.
Well, like even recently now, and it's not going as you'd hoped. It just sounds like we need more backing from underneath for them to understand there's real businesses and real people, and you're not just saying, whatever, you know, make these people come to life for them.
Okay. Anything else, Tim?
That's it.
Tracy, you're up.
Well, actually, three things. So where are we at with the planning, the community vision planning and all that? Or we have next steps? I saw your note about the thing, but are we going to have some meetings set up for that, or is it on pause?
Comprehensive plan?
Yes, sorry, comprehensive plan.
Yeah, so
Next
everyone
steps.
saw the update on that. The last thing that we did was we sent a questionnaire out to a list of about, I don't know, 60 or 80 local organizations, nonprofits generally, but active organizations, asking them about their mission and trying to create that link between what the vision. I think our next step is to kind of get a summary of that from our consultants, and then we're going to have to sit down as a steering committee again and think about where do we want this to go, whether it, well, one of the goals that we've been shooting for at this smaller level, putting together the survey, was there's already content that's been created in this community that we could borrow rather than make our own chapter about a topic. You know, if we're going to have energy be a topic we're interested in, why wouldn't we just use what the Cook County Local Energy Project and what the energy plan we've already created, rather than going through and doing more.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if we wanted to talk about energy, well, we already know who we should be talking to because they're already interested and active in the issue. That's just one example, but there's lots more of those. So the first test is who on these organizations even gets back to us. And, you know, we won't get a lot of response. I don't think we'll get 20 of the 80. Because it's, you know, some groups, fine. Doesn't have to be. Then we'll figure out, well, which ones are actually of use to us in our plan, and then we'll decide, well, where do we still need other content to be developed, and who's going to do that, whether it's our consultants and bring it to us that we respond to, or whether we recruit some more community members to get involved. We had talked about closing that survey this week, but there's been a couple more groups that have said they wanted to get it in, so probably another week or two before we know for sure what those results look like, and then we'll schedule another meeting to talk about the next step.
The steering committee.
Yeah, steering committee.
So they're moving it along.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of, you sent out the bathroom results. I was just taking a peek at those. So are we going to have like another hour special meeting? What are our next steps for?
Well, you said you were going to put together an updated map so that we can actually see where these
Yeah.
locations are, and
There's
a little bit
more.
information.
I'm going to give you a report that tries to summarize the results, but you have them all too, so you don't necessarily need to rely on that. But other people are interested in it as well, and also includes the results from the retailers meeting, and also includes some conversations I've had with others, like Linda at the Visit Cook County, for instance. It just tries to bring together all. And there's also a meeting this Saturday that Jay and I were invited to anyway. I don't know if I'm going to be able to attend, but I'm going
Saturday
to give
at
it
11.
a try with the group that's kind of formed itself to talk about this issue and see what I can learn from them. I think it's great if they want to work on it. It'd be better if
Be better if
that
the
was in
city
support
was
of the things
showing
that
some
you've
leadership
already
on this
tried
issue.
to work on. I don't think they're going to get very far without doing that. So hopefully there's a way that their energy can be of assistance to you on that. But I'd say after that, then it'd be time for us to come back together and look at what's going on, have another work session. If you want to try and schedule one now, I'd say anytime next week or later would be good. It's just getting to be, it's been for 6 weeks that time of year, so.
Next. That's the.
August,
August.
basically, anytime.
Yeah. Next week isn't going to be awesome for me. I'm just going to lie. Or I'm not going to lie.
Did you lie?
Nope.
Are you lying now?
I'm not lying right now. Next week is not going to be awesome.
I don't even know what to think about all that, Jay.
We already looked at this, but the 8th, was the 8th the day that worked for people?
I'm okay.
We're not ready for talking about budgets, but maybe bathrooms?
Yeah, I'm okay with that Monday or Tuesday, more later afternoon or evening or something?
How about like 3:30 on the 8th?
Oh, should I cut my afternoon?
4:30?
It's my,
Better.
it's my early day. I get loose early. I'm just.
Well, which you pick a time.
4:30 is better than 3:30.
Did you say 4:30?
I have to be done by 6 then.
Well, that sounds perfect.
Monday or
right?
Tuesday?
Yeah, let's spend 45 minutes.
Monday
Tuesday
or
the 8th.
Tuesday.
You
I
laughing
was
at
trying to squeeze all that through on a Monday, but I can see no one.
We
doing
can't put
it.
this into a council meeting? Can't we put this into a council meeting?
You sure can.
We can,
But,
yeah, but we need a party stop.
whatever.
Whatever. We can do that.
Caffeinated
If
beverage.
it's 45 minutes, I mean, rather than cut my day in half,
On the 9th,
just have a late day.
you're going to have planning commission report. There will be some items. We'll talk a little bit about budget, but not much. The North House is going to be here to talk about lease a little bit. You're sure about right now?
That's on the 9th, you said?
Yeah, that's your next meeting.
And otherwise, we were talking about the 8th, is that right? That
So, I
sounds,
mean,
that
we
sounds like a
could-
long meeting, as is.
Well, I mean, no longer than this
Did you say
one.
you-
So you want to add another
Just
30,
want
40
6
minutes
on
or
Tuesday?
another, if you do it on its own, just take
5?
as much time as you want.
5:45?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, 5:45 is fine. If we want to do 5 to 6.
Yeah?
Tracy's trying to push it back as
Yeah.
far as she
Oh,
can.
yeah.
I just want, you know, the rain that
5
I've
to
been
6?
doing, I
Let's
wouldn't
do it.
even
5 to
care
6
then.
on the 8th. 5 to 6 on 5 to 6 on the 8th.
Oh,
5 to 5:45.
The 8th.
The 8th. Tuesday the 8th. From 5.
5:45. Potty talk.
5 to 5:45.
Strange.
Does that not work in
Does
your
that give you time to get to where you need to be?
potty talk? Yeah.
You need time to get snacks and get to your next event.
Here. Same bet, please.
Oh.
Bet.
Let's meet in a porta potty.
Oh man, we got to. Okay, what's your third thing, Tracy?
Do you want to hear about my porta potty event last week, running through town to find a bathroom?
No.
It was not fun. And when I finally landed in a really cute pink one, there was no toilet paper.
So that's all those ladies.
And then the last one, on a really fun note, so this morning on the radio, we talked to the guy holding the event in Duluth around what they no longer call dark sky, so starry skies. And you probably have heard of this. So I think, I have to check the dates, I think it's around the third weekend of September. They're having a rather large event. Plus, they said they're going to be regional events, including here in town.
Mhm.
So you know about this.
Yeah, he's talked to me.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool, and it was pretty impressed for their first event. They're gonna have super like educational, techie stuff as well as really fun stuff, and they already have a really good marketing, tourism spiel on it, and the whole deal. Besides just the quality of life issue, but you can go to their website, which I forgot to write. I'm sure it's just Starry Skies, whatever, in Duluth. But it was a really neat interview, and it sounded like a pretty cool
When's
thing.
he coming here? When are they coming?
Do you have the
here?
dates? or
Stay
what
tuned.
it is?
I don't
Yeah.
have the date. I can contact him.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
So.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. This morning I had a meeting with, Mike was there, a bunch of people in the area was there with the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council. They're looking for opportunities to fund in our area, which I think is pretty cool. We asked if they were able to fund local units of government for different things, and they said no. So that's a bummer. But it's a
Actually,
good,
Amy said no.
well, I think he said no too.
Yeah.
But
We met the new executive director, and he's been on the job for 2 weeks. So kudos to him for already getting out into the communities and meeting people, but asking detailed questions about grant programs is probably not a great idea.
yeah. So
Thankfully, we had some local experts.
yeah. But anyway, it was good to see that they're taking an interest in our area and that there's a lot of opportunity there. So encouraging artists to look up the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council and participate in their grant programs. I had a meeting with the Spear Hiking Trail Association. They were talking about future development opportunities as far as the Sawtooth Bluffs is concerned and being a part of that process. So I believe that they're looking forward to being involved in that, or want to be contacted to be involved. It's hard to tell. There's, you know, I didn't get whether or not they had been contacted to be a part of it or not, but they definitely want to be a stakeholder. They've got some resources they can bring to redesign of the superior hiking trail through that area. So that's a bit of information there. Let's see what else. MnDOT meeting, we did that. We already talked about that. And and then I was gone until just then. So downtown business owners are working on figuring out what priorities they have and what schedules they can have for putting together kind of their own special events. Crazy Days is happening. I don't know if you guys heard about that. There's going to be a big Crazy Days sale on the 3rd. I believe it's the 3rd. It's right before Fish Pick officially starts. So that's something that's pretty exciting that those guys are interested in doing, or that the downtown business owners are doing. And other than that, it's just good to be back in town. So
Did you miss us?
so much. You guys have
I believe
anything?
it. I'm good.
Anything?
Good.
No, I don't have anything.
I was like, wait a minute, Kim. All right, we are adjourned.
When do we take the party sub order then?
Bye, Chris.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, Chris.